Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's podcast. All right. Okay. So we need to get the energy going because, the recording process is, we've had three failed attempts at starting this. So let's try it for a third time tonight. Welcome, Jeremy.
Yo,
Welcome, Justin.
Hello.
3 weeks in a row, we're at full strength. It's
I don't know if
cra-
I don't know if I go that far.
Well, I mean, that's full strength, man. All three of us are here. So, yeah, that's it's a bit of a rarity. Justin apparently has decided to become a druid monk of some kind, or a wizard.
What monks have big beards?
Can you prove they don't?
Can you prove they do?
Um, I think we're at a stalemate here.
Jeremy, final verdict.
well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some research first before I weigh in.
We don't
Well,
do we don't do research before we weigh in.
so this week I was trying to figure out a topic and what to speak about, where we wanted to go with this week, and I kept hitting brick walls and dead ends of where I wanted to go with it. And then this morning I was finally inspired.
Because you ran into a brick wall?
No, I mean I didn't literally run into a brick wall. They're metaphorical brick walls. I mean I've got a list of topics that eventually we'll get to, but I wasn't like really being inspired by any of them. Nothing really like spoke to me. Like, there's a few, percolating, in the back, some ideas that we have working on, or, but this morning I was finally like, you know what? This weekend, most people are doing fantasy drafts, or a lot of people.
Yeah.
And rather than talk about football or sports and in general, let's talk about the actual fantasy football or the fantasy sports in general. Where did it come from? How did it start? Has anybody bothered to ever look into that before?
I have not.
Okay, all right. Well, I did because that's the kind of nerdy shit I do when I get ideas in my head. So we're going to talk about the history of fantasy football mainly, but we're gonna delve into some of the other stuff. It was created by a Wilfred, aka Bill Winkenbaum or Winken. I need to write better.
Bill Winkin something or another.
Bill Winkenbach in
Ah,
1962 when he was working for he was a limited partner with the Oakland Raiders, and he was on a business trip hanging out with one of the PR people named Bill Tunnel for for the Raiders, and a reporter named Scotty Sterling, and they were hanging out in a hotel room.
What
Um,
were they doing in there?
they were developing the rule.
fantasy football.
They were developing the rules for fantasy football.
Oh my God.
And so the first league was up and going in 1963. In 1969, and Andy Mussolinis, who was one of the original members of the first league in 63, was like, hey, this is fun. I'm going to take it to a bar. So in 69, he owned this bar called the King's X out in the San Francisco area. Not to be confused with the rock band King's X. There's a bar out there. And it slowly kind of became like a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is fun. I really enjoy it." So word of mouth, it kind of just spread throughout the country. Some of the earliest known leagues outside of this league here were 1978 in DePaul, 1980 in Case Western, 1983 in Marist. So colleges really glommed on to the idea of fantasy football. But I mean, it went from just a thing some random guys in California were doing in 1963 to being a kind of a nationwide somewhat underground thing in the early 80s. However, in 1985, the first nationally available league went up on something called Q-Link. Q-Link would go on to become AOL
Ah, in 85.
in 85. In 87, fantasy
Good
football
year,
was
good year.
87. Fantasy football had become such a thing that there was a magazine that got launched called the Fantasy Football Index. So, in basically less than 20 years, it went from a bar to having a national magazine.
That magazine.
By 1990, there was some of the earlier versions. There was something called the Pigskin Payoff, where a lot of newspapers were involved, and like you had to dial a toll-free number and enter in a digit for the players that you wanted. I don't.
Oh, that would have been stressful.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, whoever won, so it was one of the earlier versions of like the daily leagues because whoever won the week got a trip to Hawaii. There wasn't a lot of information about how that whole system worked. So I don't know if you had to pay like $2.99 per pick or like I didn't really say. It just said there was a lot of newspapers involved, but it must have been pretty popular because by '97 CBS was like, "Hey, we've got this internet thing. We're starting a whole fantasy football league." So in '97, what we now know as fantasy football really kind of kicked off altogether on CBS. Yahoo was like, "We're jumping on board immediately." And when you think about
As they
fantasy,
should have.
and so basically when you think about fantasy football, those are still the two big behemoths in the room. Like most people do their leagues on Yahoo or CBS. Some people do it on ESPN, but I would say overall for the season wide fantasy football, most people I know are CBS or Yahoo. The NFL didn't start their own fantasy league until 2010.
That's kind of surprising that it took them that long.
Well, there's still a lot of states that try to classify fantasy football as gambling.
Okay.
So, like, I'm in a league where it costs $50 to enter. So I guess that's technically gambling, even though it's more of like an entry fee.
Can't do that in Wisconsin.
Well, I live in Illinois. Um, no, I don't consider fantasy football to be gambling because like I'm putting $50 down on like an entry fee. Like it's like a meat raffle,
Yeah.
you know.
I was just thinking, I'm like, we could play bar dice in Wisconsin, but you can't have fantasy football gambling.
Right. You can go to Potawatomi and play poker and I don't know. I don't know if they do craps at Potawatomi, but I mean they got all the other they got the slots and the poker rooms and blackjack and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I put $5 down on the Packers to beat the Eagles this week, and you know
Can't do
people
that.
people are knocking on my door.
Yeah.
But I don't.
$5 to win for the Packers to win the Super Bowl. I got to drive, what, 4 states away?
I think you can do it in Illinois now, can't you?
Yeah, I can, but I did it in Tennessee.
Oh, okay. But I would say for my own self, I started doing the fantasy football. It must have been, if it wasn't in '97 when CBS launched it the first year, it must have been '98, '99. Like I've been like I can say relatively certain that I have not missed more than a year or two of fantasy football since I got involved. I know you gave up on it a couple years ago, which is why.
Yeah, I think my first year doing it was like right around 2000 or 99, 2000, somewhere in that range on Yahoo. And then I did that all up until when did we stop? 2020,
I want to say we stopped.
2021,
Yeah, somewhere in there.
and that's when I stopped.
You'll come back. One of these days you'll come back.
It got to the point where I had like 4 or 5 different teams that I was doing. So I was like, I don't remember. I think it was with COVID. We were undecided and we didn't do it that year. And then I was just kind of like, it's just nice sitting back watching the game, not trying to scoreboard watch and freak out because Rodgers threw to one guy instead of the other. So I've been enjoying this life. I give you guys advice when you ask for other people.
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, like when years that I haven't done fantasy football, I pay so much less attention to football in general. Like,
I don't think mine decreases at all.
um, I was reading like, it's like some like 79 to 80 million people do some sort of fantasy football, yearly. It's into the billion-dollar industry. I mean, hell, ESPN has multiple shows dedicated to fantasy football.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fox might too.
yeah. I mean, some of the football games run little fantasy like tickers down at the bottom in the same way they run the score ticker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy, how long have you been doing fantasy football?
Probably like since 2014.
All right.
The league that you're are you still doing the league that you're in?
Hmm. I'm in two this year.
Uh,
Two. Well, isn't that about your normal lately? You've been in
Usually.
two.
Yeah, like I'm in one that's like hardcore and then one that's like kind of whatever.
is that the league that passes around the Alvin Kamara poster like
Mhm.
for
The
drafting him?
the hardcore one, yeah. And there's an Aaron Rodgers one now too.
Oh, okay.
Did you get either of them this year in the draft,
No.
Jeremy?
Mm-mm.
No.
No interest.
No, none whatsoever on my side either.
You already do your drafts?
I did my first draft. I got another one tomorrow.
Is
Did
your
my
is your first one your hardcore? Your okay, so you already did that one.
Yeah, I drafted CeeDee Lamb first round in that one. And that was
Okay.
before he settled or like
Signed his contract.
yeah. But I knew it was gonna be fine. I mean, it's
Uh,
CeeDee fucking Lamb.
who'd you end up with as a quarterback?
I got Lamar Jackson.
All right,
solid
not a bad pick.
Yeah.
solid fantasy choice when it comes to I don't
Who's your backup? So when Lamar misses a couple weeks.
That's waiver wire.
Gotcha.
I never hold two. Well, sometimes I do. I shouldn't say never, but I don't usually hold two quarterbacks unless like I happen to like get one like that's I just can't pass up like as a backup. But right now I just have Lamar.
And I don't know if you do keeper or yours non-keepers.
We have keepers. So I kept Ramondre Stevenson last year, and so it cost me a third round. So it's not really like I drafted Ramondre Stevenson in the third,
Right.
know.
which I mean that's probably about where he would fall. It's 12 team league.
Oh, yeah. Now
I might,
that's the other
sorry.
thing with fantasy. Like most leagues are probably 10, but I've seen them as small as 8 and as big as I've heard some are up to like 14, and that just 12 is hard. 14 is probably damn near insane.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
a lot to keep track of.
slim pickings when it comes to waiver pickups.
I
It's
did
like
I did a I did that 18 league last year, and I think that's how I managed to win because the waiver wire is just like, you know, so easy when you only got 8 teams. It's just you're not fighting for anybody or anything. Like you pretty much everybody just it's a just a
yeah.
field of fairies just, hanging out like just singing praise and sunshine and lollipops.
And so the one you're in this year's 8 again.
No, it moved up to 10. They decided that we got two more people involved. So 10 seems a little bit more reasonable. It's a little harder, I think. It's not so hard like a 12 or a 14, but
Right.
so the waiver wire is still there. But I will tell you the other thing that doesn't happen on an 8 team league, there's no trading because there's no need.
Yeah.
Like you can just get whatever you want. You don't have to trade for it.
Yeah, before you jumped on Jeremy in the first attempt for we and Nicholas kind of talked about some of his draft and his people.
Uh-huh.
Somehow, even though I won my league last year, I did get to draft first. So I grabbed Christian McCaffrey in the first round.
Nice.
You
Nice.
know, because we do the snake draft. So a lot of, when I was doing the research, there was a lot of people who do like straight 1 through 10, 1 through 10, 1 through 10.
Hmm.
But my league does the snake. So it's 1 through 10, 10 through 1, 1. So like
Yeah.
if you
We
draft
always do that
first,
too.
Yeah, that's how it's always been when I've done them.
so like, when I draft first, I don't get to draft again for 20 picks. So like I normally wouldn't draft well anymore with the way the league is running anymore. I wouldn't think to grab a quarterback in the third round, but given that I didn't get to pick again for 20 picks, I went ahead and grabbed Patrick Mahomes in the third. That, and when you have an opportunity to draft somebody like Patrick Mahomes, it's kind of hard to turn that down.
Mm-hmm.
But I
True.
was guaranteed in 20 picks I wasn't going to have a chance to take him again. But I will say that there has been only the what I could find doing research, only one TV show based on fantasy football, which is a show called The League, which
The league.
I know that we're all fans of that show. Highly recommended. It's a great show.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, hell yeah.
but like there's not a lot of given how popular fantasy football is, there's not a lot of movies or TV shows that were really using fantasy football as a thing, unless I'm not thinking of something.
That's the only one that comes to my mind.
I can't think of anything else. I mean, besides just factual fantasy shows.
Right, and I wasn't counting those. There was an incident in a Major League Baseball game, or I guess technically it wasn't in the game itself. It was in the locker room before the game. Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson got into a fist fight over fantasy football. Tommy Pham punched or slapped Jock Peterson, got suspended for a game or two and a fine of $5,000.
Jeez.
Oh,
So, so fantasy football has gotten very serious apparently in Major League Baseball.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What led up to it? I wonder.
It said Tommy Pham didn't give specifics, but he just said that Jock Peterson disrespected the rules.
Oh, maybe there was some collusion going on or
I don't know.
something.
But I mean, every year you'll see on ESPN the stories of the leagues that are way more hardcore than mine, where like if you like the first place gets the money and the trophy and all that stuff, but the last place has to get like a tattoo
Hmm.
or some sort of crazy punishment. Thankfully, I'm not in a league like that. We just make fun of you.
We had the trophy.
We did when we had the league. We had the belt for the winner and the trophy for last place.
Yeah.
That was clever.
That would get passed around for everybody.
Who has that? Do you have those now?
I think I have the belt somewhere, but I don't have the trophy.
I don't think I have the trophy either.
Who was the horse's ass?
I don't know.
Someone out there.
It's usually Nicholas's dad. He has some questionable drafts.
Yeah, he did. He did, one of the guys in my league, like last year, the year before, drafted Justin Tucker in like the fourth or fifth round. So like this year, every round was like, oh, you're gonna draft Justin Tucker? Like he we given him like 3 years ago he made this choice, and like every year since then, it's like every draft pick. Oh, you're gonna draft Justin Tucker again, or some whatever
Well,
kicker.
I didn't your dad drafted like Arizona's defense in like the fifth round.
I don't
I
know,
remember that.
but he.
But also that was probably like 10 years ago.
My dad
Right.
drafted a wide receiver that wasn't even playing, so there was that. Chuck Jacobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't. This is a league that's been around for a lot longer than I've been playing in it. The one that I'm currently in, and they were telling me there was a couple years ago, or more than because I've been in the league now for 4 or 5 years. So a couple years before I got there, somebody drafted a wide receiver who had retired, and then the next year, a different person in the draft drafted the same wide receiver who had still been retired.
Why is his name available if he's been retired?
I don't know.
I mean, they should know better.
There's always a chance they could talk him out of it. So
Did
they have
did
to
I,
leave him in there digitally.
yeah. Did anybody draft Darren Waller this year?
I
Darren
believe
Waller, the
so.
baller?
Because he retired.
I'm really hoping that somebody did then. I don't know. I don't remember who else everybody else drafted. Yahoo gave me an A plus on my draft. Said I had the best draft of my league, which probably means I'm gonna finish in last place.
Tuh.
Half of my players will be on injured reserve by week 3.
Well, you did say you got CMC and Mahomes in your first 3 rounds. That probably helps your draft grade.
It does. It really does. I didn't do a lot of preparation going into the draft. I did some research. I had a couple things pulled up on my phone, and I just it was more drafting on position and round rather than like player because I assume that by the end of the year, very few of any of the players that I drafted are still going to be on my team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now there are other leagues out there that do transaction fees, like 50 cents every time you go to the waiver wire.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was talk about doing that for next year in my league, and I straight up said I will be less interested in rejoining the league if that's the way we choose to go.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like if I have to pay 50 cents to a dollar just to trade, I'm not even going to try. Like I'll just draft whatever I draft, and then that's just
That's it.
oh, he got injured. Well, I guess I just don't have a running back anymore.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Like, especially if that you have to pay every time you have to do something.
I was in a league. Well, I was about to say a couple years ago, but now I just remembering it was before I was married, so it would have been 15, 16, 17 years ago now, where it was like after so many transactions, like you got like one or two per week, and then if you won your game, you got a free transaction, or the highest scoring team got a free transaction. And so like I didn't join that league a second year because it was just like I don't like I was like if you don't win, you end up owing like at the end of the year, you're like, oh, I owe you $5 more for nothing.
No, that's you should have unlimited transactions.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a year I think too. I don't remember if it was when we were at our league where I think I had a different kicker every week.
I will say that at a certain point in the season, I don't like I believe that kickers are very important to fantasy football, unlike some people, but I also believe that they are infinitely replaceable.
Yes.
Like I have one the closest game I mean, I lost a game last year by like 0.35 or 0.25. Like that's one missed field goal and I win the game, or one made field goal and I win that game. Or for that
Are,
matter, even one extra point. Like it's just
are you gonna at some point end up with Braden Darvison as your kicker?
no, somebody else drafted him. He was not on the sticker sheet. They had to write his name in, but somebody did draft him.
Oh,
So
He
yeah.
was he is the sixth kicker the Packers have had in training camp.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not as familiar with kickers or the intricacies of the game of football as you are, but I never felt that Carlson was that bad.
He's just too inconsistent, but I didn't think he was, I don't know. Maybe it
Uh,
was after having Crosby for so long where he lines up and you're like, all right, this kick's good.
yeah, but I do remember the year of Carl of Crosby where everybody was calling for his head because he missed like he was just terrible that year, and then the next year he didn't miss a kick.
Yeah, the one year when what was it, him and McPherson for the Bengals missed 5 consecutive game-winning field goals.
Something
What
like that.
was it, 5?
I don't even remember.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I didn't. I was because you told me you drafted what, one Packer, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I drafted Dontavian Wicks in the 15th. It wasn't
Sure.
that I was anti-drafting Packers. It was just that I'm in a league of 10. Oh, let's see, there's 10 guys. 7 of them are like diehard Packer fans. So I didn't get a chance to draft many Packers because they were drafting them way earlier. Like somebody drafted Reed in like the third round.
Oh, wow. I got Reed, but it was way, way late because I got him last year and I kept him. I think it was for like a ninth or 10th for me.
I was going to ask you, Jeremy, if you drafted any Packers or kept
Yeah,
any.
Reed's the only one I think. I have. That's a Packer, actually. I try to get more, but I'm also in a league that has a lot of Packer
Yeah.
fans.
And here's a keeper. How does keeper work with free agents and waivers?
Well, there's like a cutoff. So I think mid-season you have until to like claim anybody that you want off the waivers as a keeper. And then I think um I don't remember where they go, like as far as what round gets burned, but it might
That,
just be like a late rounder.
that's what I was wondering. Like if you picked up, I'm assuming he's not available, he got drafted, but like Marshawn Lloyd,
Hmm.
rookie running back, and free agent, where he would slot next year.
Yeah, I think it's just like either like just somewhere late. I'll have to look into that. I'll look into our official rule book.
Yeah. I'm like I said, I'm assuming somebody drafted him.
Yeah, I'm thinking so, but it's worth
Yeah,
checking.
come to think of it, I mean, I know it's not the Packers, but we one of the guys in the league is a Bear fan, to which we clearly made fun of him.
Mm.
Um, and as much as he was talking all kinds of smack about, oh, the Bears, the Bears, the Bears, I don't think anybody drafted the quarterback.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did. Everybody was all over DJ Moore, and
He might be worth a pickup if he's sitting there.
I mean
You're never going to bench Mahomes, and who's your backup? Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trade Lawrence.
I'm not going to touch Caleb Williams until I know that he's actually worth a damn because,
He's a Bears quarterback.
right. And if we
Mm.
know anything about the Bears, it's where quarterbacks go to die.
Yeah, I'm assuming a lot of people took DJ Moore,
Yeah, he went high.
Rome Odunze,
He went high.
Keenan Allen,
He went mid.
Cole Kmet.
He went high, mid to high.
I think Big Dog's still there,
Big
but
dog.
Mercedes Lewis.
Oh,
No, nobody touched him.
I wouldn't either. I can't think of any of their other offensive weapons there.
I mean, I think isn't
DeAndre Swift.
he went high? Didn't isn't Mercedes Lewis as old as I am?
I don't I don't know if anybody's actually that old, but I can look.
And just
He's 40.
he's 40.
40.
Okay, well, so I am 6 years older than him, but
Born in 84. He got drafted in 2006. That should have been my first year out of high school. And let's see, Devin Hester was in that draft. He's in the Hall of Fame.
he needs to come back now that they changed the rules.
Yeah. Yeah, most of these guys aren't in the league no more.
I would say there's nobody who's 40 in the league other than Mercedes Lewis.
There might be kickers. Probably
Oh,
not. Jay Cutler was drafted that year.
Welcome, Jay.
Yeah. Reggie Bush, Mario Williams.
yeah,
Oh, Reggie Bush. What a baller.
these are all. I mean, football is not an old man's game. It's definitely a young man's game. You don't get a lot of years in football. Um,
Yeah, not for long.
Unless.
You're Mercedes Lewis
Yep.
or a
or
kicker.
Or Thomas Brady.
Morton Anderson,
Morton Anderson, yeah.
Fran Tarkington.
Yeah.
So just to kind of round out the whole fantasy thing a little bit, versions of fantasy baseball, however, started in around 1866, but it was more of like a tabletop game. Like it was kind of like there was games being developed with the baseball cards that we talked about a few weeks ago that showed up a little bit later. There's some in 1951, it really kind of started to take shape into the form that we know fantasy baseball now. Um, but it really became solidified with something called the Rotisserie League Baseball in 1980.
Like chicken?
Hmm.
I don't know why. I've never known why they call it the Rotisserie League. They just do. Um,
Have you done fantasy baseball?
I have.
Jeremy?
No, that sounds brutal.
It is brutal.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than fantasy football. The thing I like about fantasy football is that Sunday morning, at some point,
Thursday morning?
yeah, Monday night, Tuesday night, I will look at what I need to do for the week. and then I won't think about it again. And then maybe Thursday I'll double check unless I have no Thursday players, and then I'm not going to look again until Sunday. It doesn't take a lot of extra brain power. The year I did fantasy baseball seriously, not just a free thing on ESPN, it was all time consuming, and every day, every morning you had to look and see, and you had to change starters out, and it was just. And the problem with that, see, this is where only recently, having given in to becoming a Packer fan, I was able to be very successful in fantasy football for a long time because I wasn't a fan of any one team. I had no loyalties towards the Packers, so I didn't automatically try to draft Packers, or I would like I was in
Stay away from Bears players.
right. I wouldn't. I know I was in leagues with people where they wouldn't touch a bear, a Viking, or a lion. Like
That's a good way to go about it.
I straight up hate the Cowboys, but I will draft a Cowboy in a heartbeat if it helps me.
Jeremy did that.
CD got that money.
I mean,
maybe Jake Ferguson would be the only Cowboy I'd want to take.
I tried, but somebody grabbed him like 2 picks before I was going to. But yeah, I would, that. But the problem with baseball is that I am a diehard Angels fan. I am blinded to the fact that the Angels suck. I would go out of my way to not take anybody from the Texas Rangers or the New York Yankees, or there are just certain teams that I hate with a passion. And so I found that fantasy baseball was a lot harder.
Yeah.
Because it's more time consuming, but B, my passions for baseball outweigh the sensibility of like doing what it takes to win.
I think I've done fantasy baseball once or twice. And yeah, that's so much work. I think the last year I did it was when Galloway was a rookie for the Rangers. I don't remember how long ago that was.
I don't know when I was going to when Craig owned Neptune, and him and I went in on the season ticket package for the Brewers.
Yeah.
There was also, I don't know if that was the same year or it was like the next year. It was around the same time that he talked me into joining his fantasy baseball league. Like we did the draft like at the time it was TGI Fridays at Miller Park. Now it's whatever. What is it?
That's it.
I didn't realize that was the name of the restaurant. Okay.
Lucy coming through in the clutch.
All right. But yeah. Now our good buddy Bill Wickenbach, or however you pronounce that last name, did make an effort in the 1950s to develop a fantasy golf league.
Oh my God.
That didn't catch on. Nobody cared.
Fantasy golf is still a thing now.
Right, because so of all the people who play fantasy sports, so not everybody, this is not 78% of the population, but of all the people who play fantasy sports, 78% of them play football, 39 play baseball, 19 play basketball, 18 play hockey, 14 play soccer. And then everything else is so much smaller after that. It wasn't really worth bringing up. So clearly fantasy football is king.
Yeah. Have you done both of you, done any other fantasy besides football and baseball for Nicholas?
I can't really tell you some of the other fantasies that I've played out on Mike, but
Well, I mean, we all remember the Death Star incident of a month or so ago. So,
any other fantasy leagues?
I was in this fantasy game league, like video game. It was kind of like they based it on upcoming releases and then like what the Metacritic score was going to be for the games when they released. So you kind of just speculated on what you thought was going to be a successful game. It was interesting, yeah, but
it's probably a good way to. Oh, as I said, it's probably a good way to find out some of the releases.
Yeah, totally.
There was a fantasy movie league where like you had to like pick movies based on where you thought they were going to finish on the week, and like you got so much money per week to move your movies around. it was very confusing and difficult, and I gave up after like
All right. Because
um
I'd say I was at one point. I'll admit I had a problem based, on how many leagues I was in for like
right.
football. I've done fantasy football, baseball, basketball, hockey, golf, NASCAR.
What? How do you do that?
You have a select few of drivers, and you would pick them in the order you thought they would finish. So it'd be like who finishes in first, second, first through fifth out of these drivers.
Wow.
So it didn't matter where they finished. Like the one could have finished in fourth, and one could have finished, but as long as you had the right order, you would get the points.
Gotcha.
Ah,
Any others?
Golf, baseball, basketball, hockey, football, NASCAR. I think that might be it. I never
now
did soccer because no.
do you classify like playing like the Masters tournament? Yeah, like because the fantasy league that I'm in with football, they've done it a couple times where like for Masters weekend and Masters weekend only, you would pick like who you think is going to win the tournament, who you think is going to like who the best foreign player is going to finish, and like there's like 5 categories. Like, do you count that as fantasy sports?
I would, yeah, kind of. I mean,
Okay,
if
then
NASCAR is just picking a lineup of drivers,
then I guess I've kind of done golf.
nice.
I mean, but it's only been for the one weekend, and I didn't really know what I was doing.
I think the golf one I did was kind of like an eliminator style. So you would just pick the golfer you thought would finish the best, and once you picked them, you couldn't pick them again.
Okay, now
I didn't understand it.
do you classify pigskin pick'em and the eliminator into the same umbrella as the fantasy football?
Yes,
Okay, I don't know if I do.
because it's not players; it's just guessing and skills.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what fantasy football is.
I guess. All right. Well, speaking of that, there is the Pop Culture Roulette ESPN League for the Pigskin Pick'em, where all you have to do is pick who you think is going to win for the week, and whoever wins for the season will get the same prize that everybody always gets if you win a contest with us.
That's on
The
ESPN.
That's on ESPN.
Hmm. Maybe I'll do that one.
All you have to do is pick who. Yeah, all you have to do is pick the games that week, and whoever wins at the end of the season will get to dictate a topic or potentially get to come on an episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't, you would think I would remember us doing that, but I don't.
I mean, I do put a lot of stuff on our Facebook page. I haven't done that one. I haven't put that one up in a couple weeks, so I should probably put that one back up for some point this week since the starts what, Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So
There's
hopefully I
five
can get
people in it.
okay. Well, all right. One of them is me. So there's only
You're one of these ones? Who are you?
well, I'm sure. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know. Are you James? Dottie? Susan?
What the hell?
Mr. B?
Am I not?
Clang?
Yeah, there we go. That one. Calang.
Jeremy, are you going to sign up for this?
Sure.
You're like, sure, I will.
Definitely.
Oh,
Just send me a link.
so
Man.
this is what, like the Eliminator style?
No, this is just the you pick
No, standard pick
standard
winners.
pick. I don't do confidence picks or any of that stuff. It's straight pick 'em. There's 16 games in the week or however many games there are every week, and
Nice.
you just pick based on who you think is going to win. And at the end of the year, whoever has the highest amount right will get to tell us what they want to hear.
Have you ever done one of those confidence ones where you rank them 1 through
Yeah, I hate.
16?
Yeah, I hated it.
I've done one of those. I didn't mind it.
Hmm.
I mean, you spend a lot of time with the draft, and like you like if I asked you who the backup linebacker for the Los Angeles Rams were, let's tell me who the left
There,
outside
there,
tackle for
there,
the Los
there
Angeles Rams are.
there is no Los Angeles. As Nicholas is now thinking, he's like, what? Yeah.
No, there are the Los Angeles Rams.
I
That's what they are.
I don't know who the Rams offensive tackles are.
That's
They
surprising.
don't they don't play for Green Bay.
But no,
I could tell you who Green Bay's are.
I will tell. I know for a fact that I've been over to your house watching random games that the Packers were not involved in, and you could tell me the names of the players that were on other teams. When I've been like, who's the left tackle for the Chicago Bears? Well, not the Chicago, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the time, it was probably Joe Thomas.
Okay, well, that was probably not the best option because Joe Thomas is a Wisconsin boy.
Yeah.
But, but
Like I
yeah,
said, a lot of the other teams, I probably, until like football starts and I'm kind of like looking at the Packers opponents, I'm not sure. I can tell you a lot of the Packer ones, a couple of the division ones, because those are the teams I follow.
all right. Well, has anybody been watching anything in the last week that's worth talking about?
I watched the second Terrifier.
Okay.
And
Much better,
I'm,
actually.
maybe I'll give that a shot then.
But the still wasn't crazy about the length. And I made the mistake of watching it on Pluto, so there was a lot of ads. So it was even longer than it needed to be.
oh,
But it was good. I was like I was very invested in it. Um some really sick kills again, really over the top stuff, but they really I was happy to see some of the like the time that they spent with some of the stuff they did. Like I don't know, I don't want to say too much about it, but yeah, I'd say it's worth
is
watching for sure.
the second one, Nicholas, I don't, you'll probably watch it, or yeah, I don't know if you'll watch it or not.
Maybe.
But when he's in the store,
Hmm.
that's like some of the best parts of that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Do
I was
they
gonna what?
do
It's
do they do a better job of explaining the supernatural part of it?
uh I mean, kinda. Go
Okay.
watch The Ninth Circle.
All
That'll tell
right.
you everything.
Yeah, they don't really explain it too much more in Terrifier 2, a little bit,
They make it
but
very apparent though, like that he's supernatural. Like they make like no question about it in this one.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, and they do cool. I mean, there's a lot of clever stuff, I would say. I was impressed. I like it a lot more than the first one. Like I'd definitely go back to this one a lot more, but I'm actually going to do a fan edit. I'm going to cut some shit out of it myself. I want to
Okay.
trim it. I think I could get it down to like 2 hours and it'd still be like a good movie.
All right. All
so
right.
when the third one comes out later this year, are you in?
Me?
Yeah,
Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm all in on Terrifier now.
Okay. All
that's
right.
good to hear.
Good to know. Um, anything else?
Jeremy, nothing else?
I don't think I have anything else.
All right.
I
Justin,
I started watching. Let me see here. Get the name of it. It's an HBO original called Chimp Crazy.
I've heard about it.
It's kind of along the same vein as Tiger King.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It talks about like how people think chimps are good pets. It's all after this one person who's had like this chimp. I don't want to call it a rescue, or I don't know what you'd call it, breeding grounds that PETA kind of like closed, and there's a whole thing over there's they took out all the chimps except for one that was missing. So it's like the hunt for this missing chimp.
Wow.
It's an HBO Max series. It says it's what is it going to be, a 4 episodes? And they've only released two. The third one comes out on, I think it's Sundays. So it might come out later tonight.
Okay. Are you actually going to watch all the episodes of this, or are you going to give up on it after the second episode, like you do with most things?
So far, so good. So far, I'm into this.
Okay. All right.
And
Um,
Parks and Rec. I've been watching on my lunch break.
are you
Nice.
rewatching Parks and Rec, or are
Yeah,
you watching it for the first time?
rewatching Parks and
Oh,
Rec.
okay. All right. I did like Parks and Rec. Well, after the first season, the second season is when it became good. The first season was not very good.
It's a good show when you're sitting on lunch and you don't really need to pay attention to it. I think I just watched the episode where Tom shot Ron.
I've been watching Alf on lunch.
Hmm.
It's a good one.
That show is interesting. It's not what I remember from when I was a kid. It's very different than I remember.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think that was about it. Preseason football, Packer hype videos, press conference, press conferences, stuff like that I've been watching.
All right.
Kickoff is Friday for us.
Did have either of you ever watched The Bear?
Yes. I'm halfway through season one, I believe.
So a year or so ago, Jess and I tried to watch it and we couldn't make it through the first episode.
So good.
It was so hard to watch. Um, so we gave up. Like we never even finished the first episode. But then, like starting in because the third season just started a couple months ago, or it just finished. I can't remember. But we kept hearing a lot of people talk about it, so we gave it another shot. Um, I still find the show very hard to watch, but we're almost through the second season now. Like we started a couple weeks ago, and we're watching a couple episodes here and there. We That's what we were doing. We were watching a lot of today. There was an episode, like they did a flashback episode, and it had Jamie Lee Curtis and Bob Odenkirk and John Mulaney, Sarah Paulson, like a ridiculous amount of famous people in this episode. But it was so chaotic and so not poorly shot, but so like there was just so much yelling and so much like moving around, and it was hard to watch. I went to IMDb and people had it rated as like a 9.2 or a 9.7, and I was like, I hated it. I hated that episode. It was just it's so like I don't know. I think Jess really likes it. So I'm going to continue to watch it, and I'm curious to see why everybody loves this show so much. But I don't think I could, like, if it was up to me, I probably would have given up on it somewhere during the first season.
I'm about, like I said, halfway through the first season. I like the show. Did you like Shameless?
Yes.
All right.
We never finished it. Like we got like I think we're like halfway through the last season, or I don't know. I need to figure out where we were. We burned through, like it was one of the when did we start that show? I don't even know. We started that show and we burned through like 8 seasons in like a couple months, and then like we just stopped and never went back.
I think it was, 'cause didn't they take it off of Netflix for a while? So that might have been why you stopped.
Maybe.
Because I think I did the same thing.
But yeah, I find the Bears camera work to be distracting and chaotic, and it makes it difficult. And then when they're in
That's real life though. Distracting is chaotic.
I don't know, maybe that's where you work, but where I work, there's not a lot of people just standing around yelling at each other all the time.
Oh, yeah, there is at my work.
Yeah, I've
My
never
work,
worked.
my work, my family, my friends.
No, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it just speaks to my own lack of I don't know, whatever
Childhood trauma.
no, not childhood trauma, mental disabilities I might or might not have, that the show doesn't work for me. But I don't know, I don't, it doesn't, like everybody talks about how great the show is, but for me, like I don't know if I actually enjoy it. Like I'm not hate watching it like a lot of other people, like like they hate watch like the Kardashians 'cause you gotta, you hate watching it, but you gotta watch it anyway. Not me. Like I mean,
I refuse to watch the
I
Kardashians.
just straight up refuse to watch the Kardashians. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't recommend The Bear, but I can't not recommend it. I mean, it's not a bad show.
I like it. I recommend it. Jeremy, you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Jeremy, you gonna see it?
Probably not. Maybe. I mean, at some point. Just there's so much that I haven't seen. I doubt I'll get to this anytime soon.
I would recommend, either the Batman Adam West series or Down Periscope.
Yeah.
Anything of mine that you have.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have it done before the end of the month.
What?
Uh, one of those at least. I'll hit either the Batman series or Down Periscope.
don't you have a lot of Halloween content to be
Oh
producing?
yeah. I know. I've been doing quite a bit over this past couple of days. feel like my eyes are gonna bulge out of my skull,
I went
which
to
should be fitting.
I went to Menards today,
Nice.
and the Halloween section is up and going pretty hardcore.
Cool.
They had
So is Michael's, because that's what I
yes.
sent you that Chucky of.
Oh,
That was Michael's.
Yeah.
Wow.
they had a 7 to 10 foot Frankenstein. It was massive, whatever it
Cool.
was at Menards, like one of those inflatable ones. And I was like, "That's really cool, but where would I put that in my yard
Right now at Michael's, they have a bunch of their Halloween stuff is like 30, 40, 50% off.
Oh,
already?"
Yeah, just when it comes up. So I don't remember what I picked up, but they have like planters and statues, and they're like 50% off, 40% off. And that's the
wow.
one in right by Target. So maybe take a swing by there if you want to try to find a couple things.
I wonder if they're open tomorrow.
Maybe.
I picked up a bunch of shit yesterday at Target and Walmart. They finally put out the Monster Pet cereals, which you sent me a picture of today, Joe. I couldn't find Carmela either, but I got the three monsters and got some bunch of new candy. They put out a bunch of candy at Walmart and Culture Fly. We should do this actually. No, it's too far away. Culture Fly put out friendship brace. Did you see those?
No.
They're in the like dollar section of Walmart, and they're mystery friendship bracelets with either like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Conjuring, like Annabelle, all sorts of different franchises. So they got me again. So many mysteries.
Nice.
So, all right, if you want to get Jeremy, make a mystery bag of it, and he'll probably buy it,
Seriously, yeah.
even if it's a franchise he doesn't necessarily care about. Make a
Yeah,
mystery bag, and he'll be like, "Ooh, I must know."
I mean,
everywhere.
don't we all think that though? As a mystery item, I'm kind of interested in what it is.
A little bit, yeah.
They get
I
you
s-
with the Lego minifigs.
Yes, yes, they do.
and the subscription boxes back in the day, we were all
Oh
victim
Oh,
yeah,
to that.
yes, we were. They
I,
didn't. Are they still going or
Some of them are doing it still. Loot box is still around, or Loot Crate. Is that
Loot
what they're
Crate?
called?
loot
Yeah,
crate.
yeah, they're still around. I stopped getting Loot Crate because one day mine got stolen, and then I was like, "Fuck this!" Like I'm not gonna like 'cause they don't do anything to hide the fact that it's a Loot Crate on your front porch.
Right.
It just, it's so blatantly obvious, and so I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun. And the
I
guy who stole it admitted openly to my face that he took it. That's a different story.
I know there's one it's like a cryptid crate or something like that. That's a mystery thing. Because I know I got one as a Christmas present last year.
Hmm.
Because I think I showed you all the stuff that was in that, Jeremy.
Oh yes, I do remember that. That's cool.
Yeah, like a bottle opener, a keychain, a magnet, a book, some other stuff was in there. So I was like, it's cryptid and it's a mystery box. I wish I had more money so I could just give them all of it.
All right. Well, anybody want to promote anything or?
Football season starts Friday, so we'll talk about that next week.
Why?
Well, check the channel for something special on Friday the 13th.
Oh,
Because there is a Friday the 13th this month.
there is a Friday the 13th.
So I've got something special planned for that day. And I'm gonna hopefully put out like a trailer for all our Halloween stuff soon. It's getting close.
It is getting close.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. What the heck happened?
Yeah, wake me up when September ends.
Oh, well, we got some work to do.
Yeah. I
All
can't
right.
sleep through this month.
Uh,
All right, well, I guess
probably shouldn't be doing a Midwestern goodbye on this episode. Just wrap it up so we can get to the real work.
yeah, I guess. All right. In that case, if you didn't realize what time of the month it was because you you don't
Oh,
pay attention to the calendar, and you got a lot of work yet to do, just remember, stupid never walks alone.
Comic books have been around for almost a century, and in the last 2 decades, we've finally gotten to see many of these characters brought to life in movies and on TV. On the Moving Panels podcast, we discuss movies and TV shows based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. Join me and my guests as we discuss both the good and the bad from Marvel, DC, and even some of the lesser-known comic book companies. Learn what is and isn't from the comics, as well as our nerdy review of the movie or show. New episodes drop every Monday, and you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. So join us for Moving Panels, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and listen to an 80s Flick Flashback podcast once in a while, you could miss it. Do you love movies of a certain age? Do you miss the days of VHS tapes, VCRs, and the video rental stores? Does the thought of another 80s movie being remade seem inconceivable? My name is Tim Williams. I'm the creator and host of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. On each episode, I'm joined by guest co-hosts to discuss one of the many movies released in the 1980s. We share our first-time watch memories, our favorite scenes, and even learn some behind-the-scenes stories about the cast and crew along the way. New episodes are released every other Friday on your favorite podcasting platform. So make like a tree, get out of here, and go listen to an excellent episode of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. The ad is over. Go home. Go.